Good morning, everyone. Uh, Thank you, Bram, for the introduction. My name is Fred Pastorius. As you guys heard, I'm looking after the African business partners from a CIP and OP perspective. I will take you through today of three of the remote support tools that's available to us that we can use. So first of all, our first discussion would be at remote. Then we'll move over to ARMS, and then we will move over to remote connect support. Or, as you guys from a technical perspective know, sometimes we've got product names which you will see on MyReco talking about Camel R and Camel SL. So our first topic in the agenda is at remote. So what is at remote? So at remote is providing a service and collecting data from our devices that gets sent through to a server, also known as the central server, with an HTTPS connection, which is very important. Most of our customers would want this type of information. The data is used to manage and support the customer devices remotely. It manages your fleet and allows the customer to improve the efficiency of document production. And then the data is also collected and used for the web reporting services for the customers. Just one note on the web reporting part: if you're already connected to AtRemote and you don't have access to the reporting site, please bear in mind, just send us an email, because your same username and password that you use to log into the AtRemote service is not the same username and password that you would use for the reporting site. So if you need access to the reporting site, please send us an email in the subject line reporting site to the service.delivery@ricointernational.com email address. So going to the next one, we will look at the security part. As you all know, all our customers are worried about the security. If there's a new device coming into the network, everybody is worried. What type of data is being sent out? And does it put the network at risk? So first of all, AtRemote is installed behind the customer's firewall. There's no local user access allowed or required. Communication between the AtRemote appliance and the central server uses HTTPS connection, as I mentioned with the previous slide as well. The data is encrypted and all devices are security authentication checks that's being done. Communication is always initiated by the AtRemote appliance, so there's no communication coming from the central server unless it's initiated to come through as firmware or something like that. The AtRemote central server cannot not initiate communication. As I said now, the AtRemote is already tested and approved by over 60,000 clients worldwide. AtRemote has received ISO 15408 certification for common criteria in technology security. And you will also see, if you do use that specific certification as ISO standard, you will see that the whole document has been reviewed in 2015. Okay, if you guys also need the security white papers, which most of us, our customers and IT administrators would want, there is updated security white papers available for AtRemote. Just a quick brief overview on the encryption side. What happens with encryption on the communications between the devices and the AtRemote servers? The AtRemote connections support different types of encryption, varying from a 256-bit to a 248-bit encryption, which has to be selected when setting up the device for AtRemote in the normal service modes. Then you might have the question, what is the customer benefits? So the three main reasons that we can use for AtRemote and the communication for AtRemote is the reducing of the downtime, the detailed fleet reports, and then the outsourcing. So starting first of all with outsourcing. With outsourcing, the customer doesn't have to worry about meter reading reports, donor supply, and service call handling. AtRemote reduces the downtime because of the fast notification of service calls to the service organization. The service organization can then remotely analyze the problems and make adjustments via service modes or with firmware updates. The customers can view their devices in a detailed fleet report, supporting a total cost of ownership consultancy. Talking about the detailed fleet reports. Detailed fleet reports, if you've got a customer with more than 10 devices, in the beginning, it was viable to use a Bazel. but nowadays you can also connect with Streamline NX, but we will get to that part when we get to that slide in a bit more detail. So our AtriRemote components, as you can see in the picture here on the left-hand side, we've got the external RC gate. So the external RC gate is basically the BASIL or using software, something like that. Then you've got the embedded RC gate, which all our devices come out as a standard to communicate to the AtriRemote server. Then we've got the central GUI in the middle, or the central server, and then on the right-hand side, we've got the reporting side. So there's three different ways of connecting a device to AtriRemote. You've got the external RC gate or BASIL, more than 10 devices per site, and an embedded RC gate, less than 10 devices each. And then the third way is by connecting Streamline NX with a base license and the AtriRemote connector, and that is for more than 100 devices. The devices connects to the central server. The central server is linked to the Ceres server and the reporting site. And then the Ceres server also handles all the firmware, and the reporting site is where all the customer reporting and fleet management reporting happens. Just a quick look at the toner supply. What happens, for instance, if a toner supply call comes in? So first of all, the toner goes through the cloud to the server. The server then sends the communication to the service depot. From there, with the least human intervention, that order gets processed automatically, and the logistics company gets notified, and they pick up the toners and drop it off at the customer site. So looking at the reporting side. So first of all, if we look at the reporting side, there's the green report, especially for the guys that's ISO 14001 certified or environmental accredited. Let me put it that way. So if you look at that specific part, you've got on the left-hand side, you've got a brief overview in graph format of duplex and combine, what happened with the duplex and combine section, and what the trend is currently at the customer side. Then you've got the combination of the paper saving using the duplex and combine. And then on the right-hand side, you will see the energy consumption levels of the device. Guys, please just bear in mind, you will see the last few months, basically from April down to July when we pulled this report. There's very to no little data available. And this is because of the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of devices was inactive, and that's why you can see the big drop in the reports from that side. Next one, which I think is very important, and this could actually help you a lot. This is when you are connecting with a BASIL at the customer side, or with connecting via Streamline NX with a base license and an AtriRemote connector. You can get this type of reports. So first of all, you've got your monthly volume report, which will be also available when connecting only from one device. We're using the embedded RC gate. The reason I'm mentioning Streamline or the BASIL is because of the report that you will see on the right-hand side, which I will talk about, or the graphs on the right-hand side, which I will talk about now. So the monthly volume report, you've got your split between black and white and your color by the Ricoh brand and your competitors that's in the network. And then you've also got your monthly asset tracking report, the machines tracking report for all the brands, and checking your MIF against your competitor. So with the Streamline base license and your AtriRemote connector, or having a BASIL connected at your customer site, especially when it's a big customer, it will automatically pick up the other network connected devices from your competitors. And then you will have this comparison to show how many of your devices was connected for that specific month or that specific day versus the amount of devices from your competitor that's connected to the same network. You can also have a look at the monthly usage, where it will give you the usage between your competitor and your own devices, so that you can see the utilization of the devices. So going over to our next slide, talking about the reporting side. So the AtriRemote server AtriRemote is in the central. Then you've got the communication to the application side, to ARMS, to always current technology, and to automatic remote firmware update. So this will be the central point of contact between all these functionalities that you see. from application side all the way down to ARFU, which is automatic remote firmware update. We go to the next one. Is there any quick questions that we can answer at this point? Let me just look at the chat.
Fritz, there were two questions from the audience. The first question was the @remote service, is that free of charge? Which we answered, yes, the @remote service is a free of charge service. It's part of the service offering from Ricoh. The second question came from Larika around the reports and asking if the customer have access to the reports. The answer is yes, the customer will have access to these reports as well.
Yes, that's correct. There's sorry, Bram.
No, so yeah, you want to carry on with that?
I just want to say, yes, the customer has access to the reports, but obviously will have access secure-wise only to his devices, or that's connected to his depot that's registered to that specific customer name, and he won't be able to see any other reports that's available. But there's quite a lot of detailed reports that the customers can pull directly from the reporting site server. But important part there is that we need to arrange access for that customer to the reporting site.
Another question came up from PC Pandy, Fritz, around the activation of @remote. If you can maybe explain that to the partners as well.
Okay, the activation of @remote, once you've got your service depot registered, if you haven't had it registered as yet, Manuel, that's also in the call, will mainly be responsible for assisting you guys with registering your depot and registering the users on the depot. So what will happen is, I'm going to take an example. Customer has 5 devices. So what you can do is the engineer can log into @remote, or your @remote administrator can log into @remote. You will register your customer, and then I will say, I've got 5 devices that needs to be installed at this customer. So you can, before the installation, give the engineer or send the engineer 5 activation codes. You go to the customer site, install the devices, you log into Web Image Monitor once the machine is up and running and ready. Then you go set up RC Gate, you put that activation code in, it will communicate with the @remote server to check if that activation code is valid. And then it will register the device on @remote. Then from there, it takes anything from 24 to 48 hours for proper communication to get all the relevant data to the @remote server. And from there on, it will be twice a day or once a day communication between the server and the device. Just one thing to keep in mind, once you've requested that 5 registration keys or activation keys from the @remote server, it will be valid for 48 hours. So it will allow you to use that keys for 48 hours. Once the key is used and the device is registered, you cannot use that same key again. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. I see there's no other questions, then we can kindly continue, Fred.
Thank you. So the next slide, carrying on with remote support tools, we will talk about Ricoh ARMS, which I've touched on in the beginning of the presentation when we started with @remote. So what is Ricoh ARMS? ARMS stands for Automatic Remote Mobile System. So just a quick overview on ARMS. What happens with ARMS? So ARMS is an advanced remote mobile system that relies on all the data that gets sent from the devices to the @remote server. And then it uses the data from the @remote server, and it creates a GUI interface for us, which is a graphic user interface for the guys that does not know what GUI stands for. So what happens is all the data that gets sent from the devices, the service modes, all the service codes, jam codes, all those things, and how the device is performing gets sent through to @remote. So the ARMS link between the @remote server and the ARMS server will create for us the graphic user interface, which will basically then allow us to see quite a lot of data on the device. And you don't have to go and read through the whole SMC report and things like that, because it uses all that data and create that interface for us. So you can have a look at your machine status, the recommended actions, selected knowledge on the devices. There's various things that we will look at specifically from ARMS, as you will see there at the bottom, the video streaming service, which is also available on ARMS. We will give a bit more spend a bit more time in detail on that specific points over there. So if we look at the next slide, what is the service benefits? So real-time parts data. Guys, if we talk about real-time ports data here, it is not 100% to say that if I log into the device now that I will see the current service codes, the current jam codes, and things like that with immediate effect on ARMS, because it relies on the last time that there was communication from the device to the AttriMode server. And also bear in mind that the ARM server is a separate server on its own, just pulling the data or receiving the data from the AttriMode server. So it's a real-time parts data, the real-time meter reading report, and toner replacement, which will always be a 24-hour or a 48-hour behind. Then we've got the effortless firmware updates, which you saw in the previous one of the previous slides, talking about ARFU, automatic remote firmware update. And from ARMS, you can just push the firmware for scheduled time or immediate. Then you've got SP mode, jam code, and SE code information available to you. You've got your how-to video guides, and you've got the date-stamped error and jam history. The date-stamped error and jam history is for the last 3 months. So it will show you on a specific date. If it's a blue code, it is a specific jamming problem that the device had. If it's a red code, it would be a service code that the device had. And if you have a pink color, then it means that there was jam codes and service codes related on that specific day. If you click on any of those dates where it points out the jam, the service code, or a combination between the two, you will be able to see what jam code it was with a brief description, possible causes, everything that you will see in your service manual. The same with your service codes. Then if we go over to the next slide, service delivery improvement by using ARMS, you've got you will be able to minimize your return to fits. You will be able to increase your first time fix by using the data that's available through ARMS, looking at the PM count, looking at the jam codes, things like that. The engineer will be able to prepare himself on what's happening currently at the device. The same, that will also work hand in hand with reducing the mean time to repair and the downtime, and being proactive, as I said, by viewing the actual machine history. And then last but not least, keeping the firmware up to date with the visibility on the release notes why the firmware was released. So the service transformation process, first of all, we've got the reactive service. Then we move over from reactive to a proactive service. And then at the end of the day, the commercial value using these two specific tools, AttriMode and ARMS, together as a set. And as Brahms said, it is free of charge. It is there. It's a quick win for you, getting your devices connected on AttriMode and making the life of the engineer a bit easier. So looking on the reactive service, we've got the AttriMode activation strategy, which is ongoing. We've got ARMS registration, which is in progress and also ongoing as we get new business partners and new users. Then we've got the technical training, which will be ongoing on MyRico, which is the exams is available on MyRico. And then the sales strategy and training to be started for the salespeople. Just one thing to keep in mind, to be able to qualify to have your devices connected on AttriMode and to have your AttriMode depot registered, as well as the usage of ARMS, 2 of your engineers has to have to pass the 2 AttriMode development areas on MyRico. That is the minimum requirement before you will be able to use this service. Any questions?
We're all good for now, Fred. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, then we go to the Remote Connect support, which will, from a technical perspective, you guys will see they talk about Camel R and Camel SL. Just a brief overview on the difference between the two. Camel R is connecting to the panel of the device, and Camel SL is to connect to the customer's PC with their permission, like you would use with a Teams session or with any desk or any remote software. Paul, if you just mind, let me just quickly answer that specific question. I see it came through a bit late. Joseph, how can we register for ARMS, please? So Joseph, as I explained, if your depot is already registered for @Remote or you are already registered for @Remote, you can contact the service delivery email address and just in your subject line say @Remote and ARMS, and Manuel will pick up the mail and send you the relevant information that you require to register for ARMS. Okay, Paul, then we go to Remote Connect support as I specified. Imagine change. This is a change driven by technologies. And with the next slide, you will have a brief, quick overview on what's happening and how it works. Paul?
Let's face it, even the most reliable technology hits an occasional snag. What matters most is how quickly you can resolve it and get on with your day. Introducing Remote Connect Support, part of Ricoh's suite of smart support tools that ensure the office technology you rely on is always ready when you need it. With Remote Connect Support, one phone call puts you in touch with an expert who knows your Ricoh MFP inside and out. Not sure how to change your scan settings and your workflow requires color PDFs to share with clients? Or maybe you have a job that won't print correctly and the big meeting is just minutes away. No worries, we've got you covered. In just moments, your Ricoh technician can remotely access your device, guide you through the necessary steps, or simply do them for you, without waiting for on-site service or any disruption to your workspace. Don't keep clients and colleagues waiting on important communications. Enhance your workday, elevate your work style, explore Remote Connect support, and all of the smart support tools designed to keep your office running smoothly.
Thank you, Paul. So now we will move over to a bit more explanation about Remote Connect support and the functionality of that, just a explanation and a high level on each of them. So first of all, the Ricoh Intelligent support. This is part of the Ricoh Intelligent support package. So Ricoh Intelligent support is a powerful combination of the always on or always current technology, or ACT as you will know it from a technical perspective, and the fast access to support when you need it. The device management using a state-of-the-art technology and data analysis. Ricoh Intelligent support continuously monitors the internal workings of the device to anticipate any issues and help to prevent them arising. So it's more resilient and reliable than ever, delivering superb non-stop performance. Customer support, if issues do arise, as they occasionally will, our array of support resources are available to help to fix the problem straight away, from the smart self-help tools and to rapid remote support assistance, as you saw with Remote Connect support. So from the minute your Ricoh device arrives, our comprehensive maintenance service is there, giving you the peerless protection and care that the customer is expecting of you. Let's now take a look at how this integrated support and service platform works to maximize your device uptime and performance, with much of the maintenance management taken care of without you even needing to know what is happening. So the solution overview, you will see the Remote Connect support, or CAML-R, allows the support operator to remotely connect to the client's device equipped with a Smart Operation Generation 2 or Generation 2.5 panels. Just a brief difference between the Generation 2 and Generation 2.5 panel. The Generation 2 panel is, for instance, like the MPC 3004 series. And if you have a look on the Generation 2.5 panels, that is the IM and IMC devices. The connection is done over the internet through a HTTPS connection. This will enable the support center to diagnose and possibly resolve issue through real-time screen sharing, remote guidance, and operation. With CAML-R or Remote Connect support, the customer will have to be connected to you via the phone to give you the receipt number for you to access the device remotely. And then the customer also needs to grant you permission to take full control of the panel. It cannot be initiated from your side. The customer needs to grant that permission. The same with Camel SL, which is connecting to the customer's PC to assist the customer maybe with a print driver or something directly on the customer's PC, which is also part of the Remote Connect support bundle, and it allows you, the consultant or the help desk consultant, to connect to the customer's PC and help them remotely with the customer's permission. The customer needs to grant you that permission. There is also white papers available for Remote Connect support on the security side for that. So looking at the Remote Connect support, the benefit to the customer and the benefit to our business partner, which is you, and the customer itself. So the goal for the benefit to the customer will be increasing the customer satisfaction by reducing the downtime and saving the call duration with the call center. And the benefit to you is reducing the number of customer engineers or field service engineers dispatched to the customer, saving the call duration with the client, and also increasing the service efficiency and the first time fix rate in your company. So looking at the service advantages, using Remote Connect support. So without Remote Connect support, it is difficult to understand the issues and diagnose it verbally via the telephone, either from the help desk consultant or the service engineer side. It is not always possible to resolve the problems directly over the phone, and then you need to dispatch a field service engineer to the customer site. So with Remote Connect support, it's easier to diagnose the problem and the support issues from a remote perspective, because I can see what is happening on the screen of the device. You will also be able to avoid dispatching the field service engineer, basically using more time to get to the customer and get the customer up and running. And then the remote support, not only for the Ricoh devices with Smart Operation 2, Generation 2 and Generation 2.5, but also the Remote Connect SL version connecting to the customer's PC, as you saw in the previous slide. So we have a quick field case study, just explaining so that you can have a clear view of what's happening with Remote Connect support. So this is just an example of a customer that sent a print job with 10 pages, but only one page was printed, and no error messages appeared on the screen. So with Remote Connect support, it would have, without Remote Connect support, it would have taken, on average, if we look on the average calls for the specific problem, it would have taken about 80 minutes to get the problem resolved on an average, because you have to, the customer needs to phone in, speak to the service center. From there, they need to dispatch the field service engineer, so it's travel time, and obviously arriving at the customer site and then inspecting the problem, and also then fixing the problem. With Remote Connect support, there's a possibility to reduce this from an 80-minute to a 15-minute downtime. With the Remote Connect support, you can connect directly to the customer's panel while online with the customer, guiding the customer and taking full control of the panel, resolving the issue where the problem on here specifically was, for instance, that the wrong paper size was selected. So there was a mismatch, one page printed, and then the rest of the job got cancelled. And then you guys will also receive this presentation. And just to make you aware, there is competitor applications available in the field out there. So from Samsung and from Xerox. If you have time, you can spend time on your own looking at that. But that is just a competition for the Remote Connect support. Any questions? Then I will hand over to you, Paul. Thank you, guys.
Good day, everybody. Thanks, Fred, for that. That was a fantastic presentation there. Enjoyed it. I will be talking to you about 3 subjects today. Let me introduce you to the 3, basically. First would be safety. This is a mandatory training course. Secondly, we're talking about Octopus. Some of you may remember the days of White and Tessa. Well, it could be coming back, something similar. Third is a service assessment tool. a revival of a successful format that we used to use and a process that we used to have. Okay, so let's start with the product safety. This is the first of the three topics I'd like to discuss with you. We at Ricoh basically take safety very, very seriously, not only for our own staff and for our partners, but also for the customers, your customers and our customers. Therefore, basically, we have devised a short training on the awareness of safety, product safety. This is a mandatory training course, and the exam needs to be completed by everybody that works with our products. Unfortunately, the target date for completion of this is very close. It's the 1st of October. So please get onto MyRicoh and get on with the exam. There is a link included into this presentation. Multiple languages are available. Not everybody is going to be happy with all the languages, but there should be enough on there to do this. I also suggest that sales have a look at this, basically to understand the possibilities of any incident that can happen, and also if the customer asks any questions, which is always possible. The complete training, including an exam, takes approximately 30 minutes to complete. Only 5 questions in the exam, and you'll only need to get 3 right to gain a pass. So quite simple. So what's it about? Why do we need to complete this? Well, it's your responsibility and our responsibility. It's your role as an employee and as a partner to understand product safety, to be aware of typical types of incidents and awareness of any situation that can be classed hazardous or dangerous. And there are a few of them out there. To know when an incident has occurred, for example, cuts or burns, that can easily happen. A customer can get burnt, can get cut, even a technician, we can do as well. To know how to respond if any of these incidents happen, very important. Which products are covered by the safety incident? Basically, all products sold by Ricoh as a company. That's any product that we sell as a company. That's from a standalone, could be a fax machine, could be a small printer, to our biggest products like, for example, the flatbed printers, even the CS products. Don't forget, it also covers toners and inks as well, because they have chemicals in them. So any product produced by the Ricoh company is included in this. What is classed as a safety incident? Well, this is broken down into 3 different areas. 3 areas that you need to understand, and they're actually covered very well in the exam, in the training session. First is bodily harm, burns, electric shocks, as I said, cuts, etc. That's the first one. Second one would be property damage. It could be from smoke, it could be from a fire, it could be from anything similar to that. And of course, the effects on health, which is the third one, from ozone, from fumes, and ammonia. Not used very often, but it is still used in some of our products. So if an incident happens, how do you make the report? If you have access to MyRicoh, soon via Octopus, which I will be going over in a short while, you basically have to go to MyRicoh for the product safety reporting, download 2 forms. On there are many questions to complete. Very simple, very straightforward. If you have difficulty, there's also a sample which is included in the downloaded forms just for your guidance. So it's quite straightforward. And again, we will attach this into the presentation at the end. If you do not have access to MyRicoh or to Octopus when that finally comes on board, all you have to do is request the form from us. All you do is just email us directly on the service delivery and put in there incident reporting in the heading. When to report an incident. Again, this is very, very important. And at Ricoh, as we said, we take this very, very seriously. If something happens with our products and it causes damage or harm to somebody, we need to know as soon as possible. So for any property damage, personal injury, we need to have this information returned to us within 1 hour if possible. That's the target that we would like to set. For anything else, it's 24 hours. So please be mindful of that 1 hour for personal injury or property damage, because we have to investigate this, and it goes all the way up to RICO Japan to investigate why it happened and what could happen. And if there's anything that needs to be done, it will be done at that point. This is important that not only RIBV employees follow this, but anyone supporting or maintaining our RICO products. For any help on this, as I said previously, contact us at Service Delivery and just add service incident into the heading. Any questions on that? No, that sounds straightforward.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah, I also want to commend the partners. A lot of the business partners has already acted on this after the email was sent out by myself about a month ago. Thank you very much for all the ones that has completed this, and the ones that's still busy with that. Please, this is really important for RICO Japan, for us to complete this training, that we make sure that ourselves, our engineers, and our customers stay safe and healthy. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Yeah, we will follow up on this. Our SGMs for each district and area will follow up on this, and just give you a gentle jog if you haven't done it. Okay, let's go on with the next subject then, if we can. Right, this is the Octopus. It's a new portal. Some may remember the old days of Weiss and Tessa. I certainly can, from the old days, yes. Yeah. Okay, what is it? It's a brand new portal that's coming out. It's actually going to be coming out very, very soon, and it contains all the essential information required to maintain RICO products. It's a follow-on from MyRICO. It contains a similar information. There are some slight differences, which I will explain as we go along. The icons shown in the picture above will give you links to various information you require in one place, one click. Very, very simple to use. The links will take you to various databases and tools that can be used to assist you very easily. It can sync to an offline device for local use, which is absolutely brilliant. It can save you a lot of time, especially when countries where the network, etc., is very, very slow or very poor. Chrome browser, they reckon, is the best option to use, but it does work on other formats and ISPs. So one important difference, as I said beforehand, training is not to be part of the Octopus. It will be on a separate portal later on, but presently it's still with MyRICO. How do you gain access to the new portal? All our partners have been sent an introduction to Octopus via Laura and Paul from our office in Holland. Laura, in that request, has asked all our partners, all you partners out there, to look at the registered users on MyRICO and just trim that down to active users within your company. We don't want to add users on because it's a fresh new portal. We only want active users. So please go through it if you haven't done it and send the information back through to Laura. It will then provide the information to Laura of the registered users, and then they can add that to the list. If you have not seen the request from Laura or Paul, please contact the service delivery. Again, in the heading, just put Octopus registration, and then we will be able to deal with it. We would like partners to administer their own users, similar to the MyRICO. Obviously, we want you guys to do a little bit of work on this and to control how you actually use it, so that you can basically manage all your users and give them correct access to the data that they require. So they don't have to have everything, they just need to have access to the information that they require. Therefore, it prevents them from doing unnecessary training, which is not going to be useful to them. MyRICO will run alongside Octopus for the time being, but the site may not be updated in the near future. So MyRICO is available. It will be there for quite some time. The activation date has not been decided as yet. Octopus will come on board and that will be fully up to date. Remember, no training is on Octopus. Date to be confirmed soon of the new portal. A brief site links gives you an overview of what we have. This is basically what you will have on Octopus. Firmware. It's a link, again, as in MyRICO, to DeepLink, where you get all your firmware, the latest firmware. ARMS, there's also a link to that, which Fred's explained. Very easy. It's just a link. It takes you to another portal. There's the global knowledge base. That's also similar to what we had with MyReco. Archive service documentation. That's slightly different simply because you will only have information that is contained over the last 5 years. So anything previous to that will not be available. We may be able to source it out later on, but at the present, archive data is only up to 5 years. Publications on the list on the right-hand side gives you all the usual things that you've always had with MyReco, the white papers, technical bulletins, drivers, etc. They're all on there still. There's a new one, optimum service procedures. This should be very, very useful to all our technicians out there. It's going to give you information to maintain the products with the correct service intervals, PM schedules, parts, etc. This will all be available on there. It's to guide your technicians on how to maintain the products to the best. Don't forget, please return your registration to Laura to update the registered users. Thank you very much. Is there any questions?